Hey everybody, and welcome to Shooting the Shit Uncensored. I'm your host, Piers, and once again, and as always, I'm joined by my host, the King of New York, Mr. Mikey Bada Bing. Mikey, how are you today, bro?
I'm doing fantastic, my brother, man. How are we? I'm excited. I am excited, bud.
Bro, we are going to be talking to pretty much wrestling royalty tonight, man. I'm
Absolutely.
I'm fucking pumped, bro. I am really, really
Yeah.
pumped. So we're going to bring out Ricky Knight Jr. But before we get started, let's just say a little bit of, take a pause for the cause and thank some of our wonderful, wonderful sponsors. Now, our first sponsor for the evening is Mayan Belts. Okay, so Mayan Belts are the best belt makers in the world. If you want a custom championship belt or a replica of your favorite championship belts, head up my buddies over at Mayan Belts and they will take care of you. My next sponsor is A-Rock Designs. Now, A-Rock Designs is a company run by my really good friend, Ashley Rodriguez, and her husband, Kevin. They make beautiful custom wrestling cups, tumblers, t-shirts, hoodies, you name it, they make it. They actually make some other custom stuff as well. Mikey, as you know, my kids have got a couple of Wiggles ones coming in, so
Yep.
I'm really excited about that. But Signal Studios, another one of our sponsors, a studio based here in Sydney, we can't even fucking speak. Signal Studios, a company run by my really, really good friend, Mr. Rafi Tamasian. It's based here in Sydney. They have a recording space. Even if you're a wrestler, you want some new music, he can hook you up. He can make that and send it straight out to you anywhere in the world. My last but not least sponsor, Mr. Jeff Parthay's Immortal Restoning. Man, if you've got an old belt and needs a bit of a facelift, needs some stones replaced, you hit up my buddy Immortal Restoning. You tell him Piers and Mikey sent you. Won't do anything for you, won't do anything for me, but I like it when people say my fucking name. So whatever. But Mike, before we like bring him out, man, like I'm really excited for this interview, dude. Like I like you have no idea like how pumped I am for this. So yeah,
Absolutely. But I woke up
and
at 2 o'clock in the morning because I couldn't sleep for nothing, and I'm over here drinking this giant gallon of orange juice, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna
well,
interview Ricky Knight Jr. You know what I mean? I'm pretty hyped. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. Damn it.
well, you know what? Let's just bring him out. Come on, man. Let's bring out
Let's
Mr.
do
Knight.
it.
He is from Wrestling Royalty Knight family. He is the son of Roy Knight, grandfather of Rowdy Ricky Knight, and grandson also, and his grandmother is Sweet Saraya. His uncle is Zach, and his auntie is Paige from WWE. But let's bring out the man of the hour, Mr. Ricky Knight Jr. How are you, my friend?
Very well, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. How are you, boys?
I'm doing good, man.
Can't complain.
Good man, good
It's
man.
an absolute pleasure. As you can see, we're really excited to have you here tonight, man. And thanks for giving up your time. But first and foremost, mate, how's things going over in Norwich, England, mate, with all this corona and all this bullshit that's happening, man?
Yeah, I mean everyone's in the same boat, but it's hard because we're all locked up. Usually we're used to being on the road and traveling 4 days a week minimum, and to be locked up in the house and not be able to go anywhere. Like I've never seen so many walls in my life. I've never spent so much time in my garden. I'm crazed now. I'm bored. I'm ready to get back on the road and put on 10-star shows.
Absolutely.
Mate, I can imagine, man. I can imagine. But let's get into it, man. So, your family is notorious in the professional wrestling world over in the UK. It's a very well-known family. Growing up in the Knight family, was pro wrestling something for you that was expected that you would get into, or was it something that you just loved and couldn't wait to get into yourself?
Yeah, I mean, like my first memories, like as a child, was obviously watching my dad and my granddad like kick the crap out of each other, bleeding, having hardcore matches all around the country. But I didn't fall in love with wrestling straight away. I was actually football, like soccer, is like a massive thing for our family, and I used to play that at quite a high standard. I was in like the Norwich Developmental Centre, like leading up to possibly going into like the pro team, and but the older I got, the more I sort of hated football and fell in love with wrestling. And I sort of got to a point where my dad's very talented at both, and like trying to get both cost him both of them in the end. So I just made the choice to stop playing football and concentrate on wrestling. And I started wrestling when I was like 9 years old, and since then, I've loved every minute. I'm always like, we're very lucky here. We've got our own like developmental center, and I'm always down there, always in the ring. And sort of wrestling to me, I don't look at it as a job, because if you do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life, and that's sort of how I look at wrestling.
Absolutely.
Yeah. No,
Absolutely.
and you know what? You mentioned getting into the wrestling world at 9 years old. And Mikey, you're a lifelong wrestling fan, as I am. And if someone came to me at 9 years old and said, "Hey, man, you want to learn how to wrestle?" I'd be like, sign me the
Yeah. What do you say? You know, like.
You know, it's funny. I actually saw your nephew. Sorry, not your nephew, but your uncle Zach post a video of his young boy wrestling. I'm not sure how old he is, but seeing like young kids in the ring like that, I'm like, man, like you can see the enjoyment from a young age. And how did you go when you started at 9 years old? Did you pick things up naturally in the business, or was it something that obviously it's taken time for you really to sort of understand how it all puts together?
Obviously, for when I started at 9, like, I've just been training my little brother, who's like 5. So my 5-year-old little brother's now like trying to break into it. But obviously, when you're at that sort of age, you don't want to be taking any heavy bumps, because it's going to stub your growth. There's going to be long-term injuries. So when I was 9, I was literally the only child. There were no other children. Like the closest person to me was like 18, 19. So yeah, I was sort of wrestling like adults, and it was harder for them, I think, because trying to get the balance between wrestling an adult and kicking the crap out of an adult to wrestling like a real young minor, like a 9-year-old boy, and trying to get, that happy balance. But the older I got, I was doing, more like the rumbles or battle royals, or I'd be putting there for a comedy spot. But when I was like 11 is when I sort of like, I weren't good, but I got like the grip of understanding what professional wrestling is. And from 11, I started working men, and then, yeah, and then from then it's sort of become more natural rather than trying to do what everyone else is doing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But like, and that's the thing, starting at such a young age, and you said like, obviously taking severe bumps could cause some serious long-term damage. Have you had any injuries that have been sort of close to you thinking, oh shit, I shouldn't be doing that sort of stuff anymore? Or
nah, not really. Like I say, I'm still only like 20, and I feel in mint condition. Like touch wood, I'm going to be all good. But I mean, there's been a few times where I've looked back and thought, shit, like, I probably shouldn't have done that. That's pretty stupid. But and then a week later I'll go do the exact same thing again. But like going off balconies and stuff like that. You look back and you think, Jesus, but it's the adrenaline rush. You just don't think at the time, and yeah, and I'll do it all over again.
That's incredible. But in the world of professional wrestling, who are some of the people that you look up to now, and some of the people that you've looked up to throughout your career this far? Like, who are some of the inspirations that you draw from?
I mean, obviously, my dad's probably up there with, like, if not possibly number one, because someone that come back from his story, his past, of being like abused and going to prison, and all the bad things that's happened in his life, and he's managed to pull it back and still be one of the most successful wrestlers to come out of Britain. He's very well known. He's traveled the world, and so he's always been quite a big inspiration to myself. But taken away from like the family, it'd probably be like people like Shawn Michaels. I think's absolutely amazing. Mr. Perfect. Yeah, Owen Hart. I like Owen Hart. And if you're sort of going with the the new ones, you got to appreciate that Triple H, what he does and what he can still do at his age now is fantastic. You got Cody Rhodes, who managed to break away and make himself a 10 times bigger star than what he was. You got Okada, you got Will Ospreay. There's so many other people that you can look up to, and I'd love to wrestle. But sort of just trying to take a bit from each of my family, from myself, and sort of be the best knight I possibly can, and try and break the mold for all of them.
Do you find that there's a lot of pressure on you? Like, obviously, carrying that surname, of the Knight family, is there a certain expectation that you have to deliver a certain level when you go out there? Like, is that pressure more on you as opposed to other members of the WAW roster?
Yeah, I mean, there's probably pressure, all over. More for the aspect of my dad, because his dad obviously broke into the business like my granddad. And my dad like fulfilled his shoes and extended them by a mile. Wrestling Samoa Joe, being the top man in FWA, and traveling to America, wrestling the ECW. There's stuff he's done. He had a WWE tryout, and for me, there's always been a little bit of pressure, but I strive under pressure. I don't turn up to a show and want to have an okay match. I want to turn up to a show and be the match that everyone goes away talking about. I want to be the guy on the plane flying to all over the world because you're in demand. So for me, I've always wanted to be the top guy. So there's pressure from all spots because when you get to the top, there's pressure because you've got to stay at the top. You can't do the same things and stay there. You've got to constantly keep going and going and going and growing. So
Right.
for me, pressure is just it's nothing. I don't even think of pressure.
Yeah, and as you said, if you want a long-term career in pro wrestling, it has to be a constant evolving. You have to be
Of course.
changing character, ring psychology wise, your in-ring work, everything has to slowly evolve over time. But your character, obviously being Ricky Knight Jr. and going by that name, explain to us about your character and do you prefer to work face? Do you prefer to work heel?
It don't really matter for me. Sort of my character is, a lot of what most of the world, know the family through Paige. And also most of the world knows exactly what, my granddad and dad had done, going to prison and all the bad things they've done. No one ever looked at the positive. So for me, Beavis which is our real name. Beavis is a very feared name in Norfolk. And I'm here to restore the Knight name in professional wrestling. I'm a warrior in the ring and I'm going in there to get the job done, whether I'm a good guy, bad guy. Whether there's 5 people there or 500 or 5,000, it don't matter. I'm there to get the job done. I'm there to win. I'm there to win gold. And then I'm here to go to the top. That's sort of who I am. So,
yeah, and you're actually the youngest person to win the world title over at WAW, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, funny enough, it's just gone a year. So, yeah.
So you're still the reigning champ?
Yeah. I mean, I can't remember exactly how I was like 19. And the youngest one, like before that, was like 21.
Yeah.
So yeah, I broke the record. I beat my dad at Carroll Road, which is the football stadium here, and in front of 5,000. And then I've still got the belt now. And the next record I'm going for is the longest reigning champ, which is another year.
Who holds that record?
Tiger Steel.
Right.
He's the first champion, and it's stayed ever since then. So maybe it's time for it to get broken.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
With this virus, we'll probably be in lockdown for another year, so it'll be easy.
Is it slowing down there with the virus there though, or is it sort of?
Yeah, 100%. Like the queues are like gone right down because more people are out in the shop. Everywhere's open back up. Like all the shops can open up from the 15th of June, which are like headquarters will be open from the 15th of June, and then gyms and stuff will slowly start coming into place. They said from like the start of July. So yeah, it's like slowly getting better, and we can start doing shows like in front of no crowds, going like on demand services and stuff like that. But I'm not sure when crowds will be allowed back in, but obviously the sooner we get back to wrestling, the better.
Absolutely.
How do you have you done it? Have you guys done many shows with no crowds yet, or is it something that you guys are looking at implementing in the future?
Yeah, I mean we've done one just before this because we all got put on proper lockdown. Obviously WWE and AEW all taking precautions, like with getting tests done and checking, they've got a medic team like there the whole time, and they're really taking a lot of precautions to put on the shows. So like for someone else like us, it's sort of waiting for restrictions to come because obviously all across England there's different rules for us at the moment, which is the shame because for us as well, being able to go to a show and wrestle, it's a bit of freedom for us and the people watching it back home. It's a little bit of freedom for them because, for that 3 hours or the 2 hours, whatever the show is, it sort of takes them out of the world and gets them locked into that rather than what's going on around them.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. What wrestling is, it gives people, it's everyone's escape. It's, it's that thing 100%. That people, it's for people to sort of, have a bit of imagination and just get lost in it for a while. And
definitely.
As we're all lifelong wrestling fans and that's what it's always been. But as far as like growing up and obviously, did you find growing up with, in school, being a part of a wrestling family, was that sort of something that kids were like, oh, that's really cool? Or was it like, that's fake shit? Not saying that I'm saying that, but I'm saying like, is that something?
Yeah, you better not be.
Hey, man, this way, I interview wrestlers on a weekly basis. Bro. I'm a wrestling fan. Someone says the F word to me, brother, I will slap them down myself.
Good
Absolutely.
man.
Hell yes.
It's sort of, I did have a hard time in school, like in high school, but there weren't real nothing to do with wrestling. I then moved to like another school to live with my pops, and I lived with him when I was like 12, and then when I moved to that school was when like Paige went to WWE. So I was that legend. Like everyone went there. You know, they all knew like who my aunt was. They all knew who I was. They all come to the shows. I was like, God. So to move to that school from like my previous school, it was amazing. And like, you know, I look like I go around like our city now, and some people give me like a certain harder time when I was younger. You know, only when I was like a kid, which it means nothing. Like to me, I couldn't care. And I see them now in the position I'm in to where they're in. And like, you know, I just give him a little wave in my new car and just drive off. But you know, karma always strikes, so it don't matter to me. Not at all.
Man. And you know what? You know, you mentioned Paige, and as I said to you in the pre-show, this interview, I really want to spend time talking about you. But you brought up Paige, and you know her going over the WWE. You know the movie Fighting with My Family. I actually saw the documentary. I think when Paige was still in, not the movie, but the documentary. Sorry, Fighting with My Family, when she was, I think she was in developmental. And one of the things I really took away from that was how much of a tight knit that the family really is. And seeing her sort of going over to the US and almost seeing the struggle between both her and also the family of her going, you know, it's kind of like a bittersweet moment. But how much of a big deal was it for the family for her to get that opportunity over in the States?
It's amazing. It's changed everything. To be honest with you, without her being in WWE, no one would know who we are. We'd just be another wrestling family, you know, somewhere around the world. I'm sure there's another wrestling family, you know, probably in like Mexico where it's very big, and there's probably 5, 6, 7, 8 of them all wrestling. But without her breaking into WWE and without WWE giving her and Zach the opportunity, we wouldn't be in the position we are now. And you know, we're very, very, very fortunate to have her there because the door's never fully shut when she's there because she can always keep it a little bit open for us. So, you know, it's nice. It's nice to have her there. And the only bad thing sort of come out of it is when like Saraya left, we were all quite close, and her like sort of coming away from the family and you know living a completely different life. It sort of broke the family a little bit, and the family aren't as close as what they used to be because you know like their little baby girl's missing. You know, she's the only female in the family.
Yeah, and that's one thing, and I'm not really going to go into the details of it, but you know, I'm a father. I have a little girl myself, and I have a little boy, as Mikey's a father as well. And when all the stuff was coming out in the media about her, my heart actually felt for your grandparents as a fellow parent to be on the other side of the world and not to be able to give that support, and even as a family member to not give that sort of moral support. It would be hard, man. It'd be very hard, but you know, it just goes to show that you know your family definitely come across as some very strong, very close knit people that you know I think a lot of families can relate to. You know, take wrestling aside of it, just the family dynamic, you can definitely relate to it. You know,
100%. I think that's why, like, when a lot of people watch the movie, that's why, in my personal opinion, I think that's why it's so successful because you know there ain't no glitz or glam. Like my granddad and Zach live in a council house, which over here is like a house given to you. You know, my dad's the only one that actually owns a house. Like, there's nothing spectacular with our family, and so many people can relate because, you know, they look at Saraya or Paige, and they think, you know, because she's famous, she's got like 6 million followers on Instagram, and you know, she is a massive success. And then they look at my other family, and then it's like it's completely different. Like she's right up here, like they're down here. But you know, that's why I think a lot of people can relate to that, and that's why the movie is a success. And you look at people that have watched Fight with My Family, you look at my dad, who was only there for a split second, how, like, you know, the story of it, you know, he sort of gives Zach the words of wisdom, for example, and that's what helped Saraya, you know, make it. But there's so many other stories you could take out of Fight with My Family to make a sequel and carry it on and carry it on. And but I honestly think if the family weren't so like down to earth, it wouldn't have been as successful as it was.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, you know, when the movie came out, what was, you know, let's put it out to you. What was your personal opinion of the movie? How did you find the overall aspect of the movie? Were you happy with the way it came out? Do you think they could have told the story a little differently?
Yeah, I mean, the story could have been told a little bit differently because, in all honesty, there were parts that weren't true, obviously, and the majority of it was. But obviously, there's parts that weren't true and the parts that was. But you know, it's sort of when we first watched it, like that I'd say we had like all the local Norwich celebrities, you know, like boxers. There's a couple of football players. And yeah, I'd say a good 70% of the audience were all crying. But yeah, just like crying when Saraya left for the airport, when she sort of left, because a lot of them as well, like you just said, parents. So can you imagine having your daughter go to a completely different world where my granddad physically can't fly there because his criminal record, so he physically can't get to her to look after her. So it's hard for him to, even when he thinks back at now, even when he watches it, he's a proud man, and my granddad's a man's man. But he always gets a little tear in his eye when he watches it.
Yeah, you know what? That was the thing, man. Like I I'm not gonna say I'm a macho tough dude, man, but I'm not an emotional dude. But man, I went to see the movie with my wife on a date night, and we sat in the cinema, and at that scene, she turned around, and she's like, "Oh, this is really sad," and I'm like, "Yep."
Yeah.
I get the fucking heartstrings, and I'm like,
oh. Bro, that happened over here too. But I was watching with my wife. We're just sitting here, my son's out, doing his thing, and watching my wife, and she goes, "Wow, that's really bad." That they got, she had to leave, and they're crying. And she looks over. I had tears in my eyes, dude. She's like, "You crying?" I'm like, "No, the window's open, the wind's blowing, dust is in the window, babe. I'm not crying."
It's exactly the same way. Like my wife is not a wrestling fan at all, and me being the biggest mark in the fucking world, she walked away from that movie as a Paige fan, and and I said, we need to see the document, and I took her home that night, and we sat and we watched the doco of it, and she was like, this is amazing. Like, and she became a fan of women's wrestling, not wrestling, but women's wrestling.
Yeah, brilliant.
Because of your aunt. And that, to me, I'm just like, you're watching wrestling now. You're a fan.
Absolutely.
It's amazing. I remember the moment it really kicked in for me, like just going back, was when me and my missus, we always go out like once a week. It's hard because I'm always away like Thursday till like Sunday, maybe Monday morning. So we always go like out once a week, like either Tuesday or Wednesday. We'll go to like a restaurant, and then we'll go watch a film afterwards. I remember sitting there, I can't remember what we were watching, and like they was going through the trailers, and I was so bored, as everyone. The trailer's gone off half an hour. Then I look up, and it's our trailer. I was like, "Fuck yeah!" And everyone stood up. Everyone turned around, looked at me, and was like, "Who the fuck's that guy?" But I was so happy.
Like, the movie hasn't even started yet. Why are you cheering?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's my family. They're like, "Yeah, sure, buddy."
Yeah. Exactly.
Wait for the sequel. I'm gonna be in it.
Yeah. But that's the moment it really kicked in. But yes, it's crazy to then look back and think, how many people's families had a movie wrote about them. So it's a huge achievement.
Absolutely.
It is. That's one of those things, man. I think for anyone of any family, like you always think, imagine if they did a movie about this family, how would it go? Like if it was my family, man, there'd be a lot of fucking beer drinking, a lot of fist fights going on.
Oh yeah.
They left quite a few of them out, to be fair.
Yeah, that's all the movie on my family would be. Lots of F-bombs and beer drinking. So. But for sure. As far as yourself in the wrestling business, where do you want to be? Like, is WWE the ultimate end goal for you, or are you wanting to stay mainly based in the UK and go into other areas of the business?
No, I mean, for me to say, I want to be in one of the top three. I want to be. If I could, I'd want to go to all three. I want to go to New Japan. I'd want to go to AEW, and I want to go to WWE because they're the three biggest. And if you as a professional wrestler can go to one of them, and you can be the top guy there, that's a huge achievement. So for me to go to any of them would be absolutely fantastic. And that's like the dream, to be the champ in possibly all three of them. Because like yourselves, everyone that's a wrestler is a wrestling fan. So for me to be a champ in all three, that's what I want to do. But obviously to go to WWE, where Saraya was the Divas champ, and to be like WWE champ, and sort of be the first auntie and nephew, and to be like the main champions, it'd sort of be an achievement. And she's still there, so there's nothing saying she could be like my manageress, or and I could still travel the world with her. So yeah, I mean, to go to any three of them, to be completely honest, I'd be like that'd make my career, to be fair. But
absolutely.
Have you had an opportunity to have any tryouts yet?
Well, I was actually we were in America just before all this, just before the virus, and because of the virus, certain things didn't happen. But Yeah, so we'll sort of see what's what, but you know, as the moment, I'm very, very lucky. You know, I'm working for a lot of good promotions. A lot of good promotions give me opportunities. You know, I'm like made my mark in Rev Pro as like a main roster guy, which for a lot of people that don't know is probably like the biggest promotion here in Europe.
I know Rev Pro, yeah.
So you know, for me to get myself there and be a champion there and sort of make my mark is fantastic. And like the goal is just to keep working hard, get bigger, get better, make my name bigger and better. And then one day all that hard work pays off because, you know, first of all, you got to see it. You got to see the end goal. Then you got to believe it. Then if you work for it, you're guaranteed it. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Oh, absolutely.
Completely agree.
And you know what? Let's talk about British wrestling, man. Like like British wrestling has always been fucking good. It's always been good.
Sure.
And only just recently, you know, in the last probably 3 to 5 years, you've really started to see more of it on a mainstream level. You know, like back when I was a kid growing up, you had British wrestlers. I think it was William Regal. That was it.
Yeah.
In that time frame, and obviously he's one of the best ever to do it. But you know, as far as British wrestling now, you know, you're seeing, you know, NXT UK, and to me, NXT UK is one of my favorite shows to watch. Period, wrestling or non-television, because the style of wrestling that you're seeing is just so much more hard hitting. It's in your face. You know, and you know, you look at the companies that are over there, like Progress, you know, as you said, Rev Pro, you know, there's so much talent coming out of there. Like I sometimes just get lost on YouTube, sometimes just sitting there watching hours of British wrestling. I'll sit down and watch a match and I'm there for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Mikey was actually saying before the show, he was actually watching a match with yourself and your dad, Roy. Mikey,
that was that one at Frightmare 3, bud. That match, I sat there and watched the whole thing. It was entertaining from the beginning to the end. You know, the referee with a chair shot on your dad, and honestly, you know, for me watching it, it almost felt like a passing of the torch when you won that title. How did you feel? What was, you know, the emotion? It had been emotional, you know, having that title get passed down from your father to you. So I kind of want to touch down on how you felt.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I've spoke to like so many friends as well, just like over the phone, like of this time last year, because that is what we were doing, and it was sort of, I don't know. I remember just getting there the day. You know, I got there at like, I woke up at like 4:30 in the morning, like sitting in bed, like it was Christmas. So excited. Like my missus was asleep next to me, like she didn't give a shit. I went downstairs. I was making breakfast, and like all the guys were getting there, like, you know, the ones that weren't on the show were getting there at like 7:00, like to set up the ring. I don't want to get there straight away. Like I wanted to drag out a little bit, come in a little bit later.
So you didn't have to get help with the ring set up, or?
Well, we won't mention that part. You said Grandad's in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. It's all right. We'll that was Granddad.
Yeah. So I got there at like 9. You know, I packed my bag and unpacked it probably like 15 times. And I got there and like just looking around the stadium, it was so, I don't know, just so exciting. And like seeing the ring there, and the weather was good. Like we're so lucky with the weather. I remember then I got some new wrestling gear. Like I put that upstairs. And I got into the change room. I remember like the doors open and just before the doors open, I sat on a part with one of like the bad guys called Malik, and just seeing like 3,000 people like queued up just to come and see like British wrestling. I was like, I looked at him and I was like, fucking hell. And he was like, oh no. And then we sort of just sat there for like an hour just watching people walk in and out. And we then went upstairs and like we were only allowed to be in our changing room. And I was like, no way, I'm not letting just staying in my changing room and look at these walls. So I went up like another floor and I just looked out and like the view. It was amazing. Then everyone else followed. Everyone else started coming upstairs. And and you could literally see down. And like as you're looking, you just see like all the tears in front of you and like, on the floor. And yeah, everyone was like watching each other's matches up there. It was such a good day. Like everyone was so close because the day was so real and so like emotional. You know what I mean? Like that day was 24 hours, and after that, you know, it was done. And sort of getting to the ring, you know, I went nervous or nothing because, you know, I'm confident in what I can do, and 2, I'm in there one of the best professional wrestlers alive, and my dad, and sort of going in there and like I hadn't done much. Like, you know, I remember he got this table out and he was like, right, you're gonna like do a flip through this, and I was like, well, that'll probably hurt. And he's like, probably, but you're doing it. I was like, yeah. I went arguing. I'll do it. So I remember sort of doing that, like doing the flip through the table, and like, the place going absolutely ballistic. And like you mentioned, the chair shot, the chair shot, they're going ballistic. And I remember the part, like the end of our match when I won, like passing the torch to me was like, that for him to say, not 19, that he believes in my ability then, and that I can carry and fulfill his position means more than anything, because he's been the man, especially around here, for a very long time. But I remember looking around all in the crowd, and a lot of people are crying because like a father and son bond, and just before that, it's been like a 2-year storyline all leading up to that moment. So it was very special. And if I could rewind time and go back to that day, like I wouldn't even think about it. I'd press rewind straight away.
That's incredible, and
that's awesome. That's so
we got a few comments coming in from Facebook, guys. Thank you for watching live, and if you do have a question for Ricky, we will bring it up. Just as I always say, whenever I have guests on, please make sure your comments are respectful. Otherwise, we won't be showing them, and we will be deleting them. So a gentleman you spoke to recently, and a good friend of us and the Paige, is Mr. Stewie John Palmer. You spoke with him a couple of weeks ago. He says the pride of Norwich, and more importantly, the pride of the UK. Christy Black Adams, one of our admins for Multi-Continental Wrestling Alliance, she said wants to know, do you have any rituals before you enter the ring?
No, apart from getting changed and just being on my phone, there's not really. A lot of people, like, I get there and like a lot of guys doing like these deck of cards, like warming up, and a lot of people like pacing up and down like a million miles an hour. Then you sort of just got me just in the corner, just earphones in, listening a bit like Westlife or Backstreet Boys, just getting on with it.
But... what a ritual!
yeah. They're seriously, like, there's not much to go to my matches. They're not exciting at all.
I can just see you in the dressing room dancing the Backstreet's Back, warming up.
I can see it. I can see it. Absolutely. I can see
it. Bit of Boyzone, you can't beat it.
Mate, absolutely not, brother. Absolutely not. I'm an undercover Boyzone fan, bro. Come on.
Oh, we all are deep down. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, it's like I hate boy bands. Backstreet's Back. Oh.
Yeah. For sure.
Don't fucking judge me, people. But have you ever had an opportunity to get in and work your granddad at a show?
Oh yeah, loads of times.
Yeah. How do you find working with him?
Easy. We do obviously the holiday camps here, which a lot of people are familiar with, just because people like Daniel Bryan, Dash Wilder, and obviously Saraya. A lot of people come over and done the holiday camps, and so a lot more people know about them. I remember just getting to the summer, and he's like, "Right, me and you are going to work for 6 weeks," and I was like, "Okay." So we just did like our match for 6 weeks, and it was brilliant. How many other people can say they get a beat their like 67-year-old granddad up, so and get paid for it. So it's brilliant.
Just like, this is not for not giving me a chocolate when I was 7, you prick.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. That's what grounded me.
You tell me I can't have cordial, fucker.
Yeah, exactly.
Obviously, we see a lot now where intergender wrestling is becoming, kind of a popular thing, and obviously, being in the having it in the family, wrestling women, and obviously having trainees wrestle. How do you find getting in there and wrestling with, the fairer sex? Do you find that as easy as getting in there and wrestling a man, or do you find it a bit more challenging, or is it different in any way for you?
It doesn't matter who I'm in there with. I'll treat them exactly the same. So. There's something that get drilled into us down here, especially with my grandma. She don't like people, going easy on the girls. So for me, when I was growing up, it's sort of something they've always done. And just to wrestle a woman, I'll treat them exactly the same. I'll hit them just as hard as I would a man. So it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, you're there to do a job. You're there to make it look believable, and
not just that though. You got to look. Say someone broke into your house, in a balaclava, and you wouldn't check to see if it was a woman. You wouldn't check to see if it was a man. I'd be headbutting them as quick as I can. So it doesn't matter if they're female or male. So that's you got to bring the believable into the professional wrestling.
Oh, absolutely, and it's very key, the believability, and that's the same thing. In my take, where I say about intergender wrestling, if it's believable, that's great. If you've got a 6'6" guy, doing a job for someone who's 5'1" and it's a clean finish. It's pretty hard to suspend that disbelief, but there's always ways in wrestling to make something believable.
I mean, it depends. It depends as well because I'm not the biggest of guys. I'm only 6'1", but I've had a few scraps with people who've been like 6'10", or and it don't matter how big they are. It's all about the size. It's all about the fight of the dog. So if you got someone in there that can do the task and the fans believe in them, it don't matter. For a prime example, Randy Orton's one of the best guys at doing it. Not so long ago, he lost to Jinder Mahal, and then a few months later, he was wrestling Brock Lesnar. So it don't matter.
Yeah,
people just believe in him. So it sort of depends on who it is, to be fair.
Yeah, or exactly, and how believable that match will go. But
exactly.
Yeah, so we got another one from Vince Kane. He wants to know: do you prefer to work as a heel or a babyface?
Honestly, it don't matter.
Yeah, we kind of asked that before.
Yeah, it don't matter whether it's babyface, villain. I'm just there to go in and do the job. As long as I come away with having the best match, that's sort of all that matters.
Yeah, absolutely. No, look, absolutely. But and that's definitely the thing. A good wrestler can go in and fill any role, whether it be face or heel, no matter what the job calls for on the night.
100%. I mean, probably in my hometown, you prefer to be babyface because you're a good guy because you're walking around that town every day. And you don't want to be getting abused just for walking down the street. So if you're a good guy and you've got people coming up and asking for a picture and stuff like that, it's probably better to be that rather than getting heckled at just for going to co-op.
I can see it. Honey, how was your walk? I don't know. I got fucking kicked. I got an egg thrown at me, a bottle out of the window. I can see it,
Just the usual.
I'm a heel in the ring. I'm a face in life.
Exactly. Literally.
Just give me a fucking break, guys.
Yeah.
Google me, shit.
Yeah, exactly.
But and you obviously you mentioned working with your dad. Your dad Roy, one half of the UK Hooligans. You've had the opportunity to tag with your dad. How important is it to sort of get in there and partner up with your dad? Do you find it more of rewarding than getting in there and working against him than being in a team with him, or it doesn't matter as long as you're in the ring with your old man? You think you're going to be doing something special?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, either. I mean, I'm very fortunate because no matter what happens from now, whether I was to move abroad and go to work for one of the big three companies or whether my dad was to retire, I've still wrestled him several times. I've still took the main championship down here off him. I've been a tag team champion with him several times across the UK. So I've done quite a lot with my dad. So
yeah,
no one can ever take that away from what we've done. And it don't even matter whether we're tagging together, whether we're wrestling each other, or whether we're just on the same show. It's just to be around his company is what I like because I was very lucky. He had me at a young age, and he's still active, and he's still one of the best. But not so long ago, he even comes to shows if he's not doing nothing. Like Valentine's Day, I was wrestling at York Hall for Rev Pro, and my dad has never won at York Hall. Every time he's gone there, he's done the job, and he sort of come. He watched, he drove up there with me, and then I broke the curse. I won at York Hall, and he's sort of on the way home. He's telling me everything I did wrong. And it's sort of from there.
That's what a dad's supposed to do, man.
Exactly. Agreed.
Yeah. But Mikey, do you want to jump in and ask any questions to Ricky while we have him here?
Absolutely, Ricky. This is going to be a left field question. It's kind of it's on everyone's mind. Obviously, you're a fantastic wrestler. You wrestle with some of the best in Britain wrestling and Europe's wrestling. If you had any wrestler from any company, anything, who would it be and why?
Well, that'd be the two that I haven't done that I'd really like to. I couldn't narrow it down to one. Would obviously be Shawn Michaels, probably one of the best workers to ever grace our professional wrestling ring. And just to be in there and know what I could do now with him would be amazing. The things we could do, and I still probably haven't even hit my prime. So Shawn Michaels in his prime would be amazing. And another one would be Undertaker, to be stood in the ring and hear those bells go and see him walking towards you. Something that I grew up watching as a kid, and to be able to do that they'd be the two that blow my mind, for example.
Oh yeah,
Man, I
you
can
can.
only imagine they're standing there and you're just watching this guy walk down the aisle, and bro, I don't even shit myself. I ain't gonna bullshit. I'd shit myself. I don't know what to do. Like,
I mean, there's not much you could do. Is just stand there and wait for that ass whooping, son.
and if I had a chance to get in the ring with Shawn Michaels, I'm like, super kick me, super kick. Do a sweet
Yeah.
shit right here, please do it.
Yeah, for
But,
sure.
But as far as British wrestling goes, like, is there anyone, besides outside of the family that you sort of look at now and go, that's the spot I want to have. That's the guy that, I need to be. Or not the guy I need to be, but that's the guy, like, I want to take the same path. You know what I mean?
The answer to that would be like, who do you think the best at the moment right now? Who do you think the biggest British guy is?
The biggest or the best?
Both.
In major promotions, I'd say Will Ospreay and Pete Dunne.
Well, then I want both those spots because I want to be the best and the biggest. So it don't matter. That's why I want to be number one.
Yeah, the best on a main stage. Like, I'm sure there's probably guys that are more phenomenal in the UK that I haven't had the fortune of seeing. But
no, I mean probably not. To be fair, like them two are fantastic. Them two are fantastic workers, and they're still going to go on to do magnificent things. Obviously Pete's stuck. But funny enough, Pete and Will are both stuck in the UK at the moment. But I'm sure Will's going to go on to be New Japan heavyweight champion. I'm sure Pete's going to go on and do very good things in one of the main WWE, Raw or SmackDown. But obviously, right now they are probably the biggest two, full stop, the UK guys. And obviously, for me, I want to be the number one in the world. So obviously, I want their spot.
And that's the thing; both guys are still very young. Like, they're still like, I think early to mid-20s. You know what I mean? Like,
like 27, isn't they?
Yeah, like some of the matches, like, and going back to the UK wrestling scene, as I was saying, that match that Tyler and Pete had, where man, that rejuvenated my love for UK wrestling, and as soon as that NXT UK came in, I couldn't find enough of it, man. I was chasing that British wrestling all around.
Yeah, I'm a Walter guy, but I love Walter, man. I think that for a big guy, man,
he's not British, man.
Really?
No, dude, he's German, I think. Anyway,
got me. Well, damn. Well, let's erase that one off the history books, folks.
But another good match. To be fair, Tyler and Walt had a very, very good match. I mean, they're two guys as well that are fantastic. So, I mean, British wrestling, personally for me, a lot of the guys that work in the UK scene are bred different. Like, there's some tough people over here, and I personally think it's one of the best scenes to be on. We wrestle. We wrestle probably like 200 times a year. So it's quite a busy schedule, and we still get travel. Most of the guys will travel around Europe, if not the world. But we're very, very, very lucky. And the more good people there are, the better match you can have, because if you've got someone else who's good as well, and you're good, you're gonna have a fantastic match.
Oh, hands down.
Oh, absolutely.
But and that's the thing. As I said, the UK scene right now is so healthy. Well, obviously prior to COVID, it's been so healthy, and to be fair, it's always been strong. But now it's, like I said, the last 3 to 5 years, you're starting to see some really big eyes come onto that product. But
yeah, for sure.
When you're in the US, you mentioned before the COVID thing, you're over in the States. Did you have a chance to work for any independent promotions when you're over in the States, or was it just sort of coming and sort of getting sussed out by a few of the majors, or what was the reason behind the state?
Well, I come over in 2018 and done WrestleMania week with my dad. I was then meant to be going this year, but obviously that didn't work out. But no, sure. I sort of just come there for a week, and we sort of had to come home early because of the virus. But as soon as this is over, like my main thing to do is go over to LA and stay on my aunt, and sort of try and make some contacts in America for the future.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's the thing. One guy that we didn't mention is Jimmy Havoc, and he was a guy who was really big on the American Indies, and now being at AEW, that's the thing. The Indies in the States gets a lot of eyes on it, man, and it's amazing how many of the guys they seem to pick up from there.
Oh, for sure. I mean, you got Jimmy and Kip both at AEW. You got NXT UK's whole brand. You got Will and a few others that are in like the dojo in New Japan. Obviously, Will's one of the main guys. So I
Yeah.
mean, British wrestlers, like there's a lot of British wrestlers that are in all the main stages. So I mean, it sort of says something about British wrestling as itself.
It does. Look, without a doubt, it definitely does. You know, it definitely shows how healthy it is, and especially what WWE is invested in the UK brand. You know, it's
for sure.
You know, and it's great. It does wonders for wrestling as a whole in the world. It's not just, you know, the UK, but it's showing a lot more eyes on other countries yet haven't yet had that opportunity to really succeed in that. But yeah. So look, Ricky, we're getting into that 46-minute mark, and I just want to be wary of your time. Obviously, you know, you have been very gracious to sort of come in here and give us an interview. But before we get into the next bit, Hangman Page versus Ricky is what I want to see. There you go.
That'd be a good one, bud.
That would be.
He's only young as well. I mean, it's a possibility.
Yeah, I think he's only like in his mid-20s or early mid-20s, so it's definitely there. But before what I want to do now, Ricky, as I mentioned this earlier, we have a little game. And this is a game that we have a lot of fun with our guests. It's called Guess the Aussie Slang Game. So Mikey's like an honorary Aussie. Okay. So he's my good buddy, and we've adopted him as an Aussie. We've given him a koala and the whole fucking 9 yards. Okay.
But he's sitting on the fucking couch right now. Stay there. Stay.
Yeah. Is he stoned again? Fucking please, bro. They get you every time. So yeah, we're going to play a game called Guess the Aussie Slang. Okay, so being from the UK and Australia, you know, our slang is very similar. So I'm sure you're going to do quite well in this. Okay, but are you ready for this, man?
Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah.
All right. Okay, first one. Oh shit, boys. Me dad's in the budgie smuggler again. Budgie smuggler.
It's like Speedos, isn't it?
Ding, ding, ding. He's got the point. He's on the board straight off the bat.
Right, I went with jail. I went with jail for, I don't know where I got jail from.
Jesus, mate. All right, so we'll go to the next one. Hey, Ricky, before you come over to my place, do you mind going to the servo, getting me a pack of durries, and then go to the bottle-o for me on the way through? Okay, so there's 3 there that I've chucked in. I've chucked in servo, durries, and bottle-o. So I want you to go to the servo, get me some durries, then go to the bottle-o. All right, we'll start off. What's a servo?
Oh, it got to be like a gas station or something like that.
Again, he's on the board. He's got a second point. All right, so 2 points up. All right, what are durries?
It's either beers or fags.
Fags.
Yeah. Fags.
Smokes, right. Bottle-o.
What was the sentence again?
Mate, I need you to go past the servo, grab me some durries, and then swing past the bottle-o for me.
For I don't know, like a bar or something like that. Got something similar.
Bottle shop.
Bottle shop, yeah.
Yeah, it's all right. All right. So I'm gonna have to make it a little bit difficult for you, all right?
All right.
Hey Ricky, what's going on?
Yeah, what's going on? You're all right.
All right, that was an easy one. All right, now I've got to really pick it up. All right, because you've got nearly every one of these right, and I'm I'm kidding. All right, so mate, I saw you at the nightclub the other night, Ricky, with that Sheila, and you were having a bit of a pash in the corner. What's the Sheila?
With that
and what's
girl?
Yeah,
and like a kiss.
Fuck, man, this kid's good, man. This
He's
guy's
good.
man.
He's picking it up.
He's really good. I'm starting to sweat now, man. I'm good. All right, so we're gonna try and make another one. All right, mate. My missus just cracked the fucking shits.
What's that?
My missus just cracked the shits.
Like, as in went mental, or?
Yeah, pretty much, like going off a fucking head.
Yeah, going off a nut, yeah.
Exactly. All right, so we'll go a couple more. Mate, I just had the biggest blue with that bloke around the corner.
Biggest blue. Don't know. Something dodgy, I reckon.
Square up. Had a fight. have a dust up.
Scrap, yeah.
Yeah, well, you have a blue. It could be an argument, could be a fight. So, all right, we'll go a couple more. All right. Okay, so I got one for you. My mouth is as dry as a dead dingo's donger in the sun.
The fuck, dude.
Your mouth's like dry as shit. Yeah, dry as anything. Yeah.
Hot mouth need a glass of water.
Yeah.
So, Ricky, you know what? You've absolutely impressed the shit out of me in this one, man. You're the first one to get nearly every single one of my slang guesses right, mate. So, mate, hats off to you. If I had a shirt saying you won the Aussie slang game, mate, I'd send you one. But you know, where can people find you, man? If they want to get in contact, they want to follow you, they want to support you. You want to give your social media?
All my social medias is just at Ricky Knight Jr. Like at Ricky_Knight Jr. JR. So it's really real simple. You find me Instagram, Twitter. So just go over there, check out, and sort of follow the journey. But and I'll practice my Aussie slangs. I mean, I'm sure I'll be over there soon.
Mate, when you come to Australia, buddy, look me up. I'll take you to a few pubs. We'll get your Aussie slang going really well, mate.
I mean, we've got something similar down here called Cockney slang. So I mean, you have to come here and I'll teach you that.
Absolutely, man. You know what? It was funny. I was talking to one of my buddies from the United States, and I said, "Man, I'm a bit nervous for the Aussie slang game. I reckon this guy's going to know it." And he's like, "Really?" I'm like, "UK and Aussie slang and humor is very, very similar. Like, there's only a very marginal difference to it." But look, Ricky, we appreciate you coming on. Thank you, thank you so much for giving.
Thank you for having me,
man. Look, you know what? I want to do a part 2 with you. You are welcome back on this show anytime, bro. And
thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. And once this Corona shit comes to an end, come back on. Let's promote, WAW. Let's promote Ricky Knight Jr. and let's get you back on. But guys, look, again, thank you very much, Ricky, for coming on. Mikey, is there anything you'd like to sort of end it on? I can't even talk tonight. Seriously, it's like I've been drinking.
I got that dry coyote dick mouth, remember?
Yeah.
No, Ricky, it's been an honor, man. Thank you for coming on, man. Like I said, I've been watching you and your family for quite some time, man, and look forward to part 2, man. I really enjoyed this, and like I said, man, keep kicking ass, and hopefully one day you come over here to the States, and I'll take you out for a night of drinking.
That sounds good.
Anyway, guys, my name is Piers, and this is Michael Butterbean. Our guest this evening has been Ricky Knight Jr. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to click that subscribe button somewhere along the top here. Follow us on YouTube, and we'll catch you next time, guys. Say hi to your mum for me. See you guys.